All right, welcome to this week's Shotmaker episode. I'm really excited because we're in our Building Our Path to Bethpage series. And as we left off last week, we were really using the Ryder Cup defeat as a good example of, we've all had it, right? We've all had a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, and now it's all about rebuilding. And the other thing we talked a little bit about last time was the idea of leadership. And a lot of rebuilding starts with finding the leader that understands the challenge, understands where you are today, and can really build a path forward. So we don't know if this is going to happen or not, but we thought this would be a fun example of everybody looking at the leadership on their team that you have in your business as you're going into next year. But using the example of, should Tiger Woods be the next Ryder Cup captain? Because we really feel like we all have it though, right? We have someone who's technically amazing, right? Maybe it's your chef, maybe it's your best server who the world loves, right? We have that person. And can that person transition into being a leader, being more of a team player? And I think as we walk through some of the universal qualities that Scott has, right, it's a great thing because we all have a Tiger Woods on our team. And that's the question is, you don't want to tell them to go away, but you need to find that role that takes their good qualities and makes them shine.
Right. So, like I said earlier, no great athlete ever stepped into coaching and was good at it. It doesn't work. Yeah. Right? Forget all the issues Tiger has besides that. Like, he has a million reasons why he should not be anything. He shouldn't lead an ant brigade. But, great players just have a much harder time coaching because everything comes natural to them. Yeah. That's like the guy that's working in the kitchen on the line. Probably didn't teach him much. He's just good at it. Yeah. Right? And he gets you out of weeds, get you out of the fire. Yeah. But you put him to lead men or women, can't do it. Yeah. It's not in him. And the same thing with Tiger. He can't lead himself. Yeah. Let alone he's going to lead people to do something.
Right. And I think that's also when you're, looking around your company, looking around your, potential leaders, I think as we walk through some of these qualities, it really can be eye-opening to see it's not always your best performer who is your next leader. So, all right, Scott, what's the first quality that we
let's start with communication. Right? Might as well start with communication.
No. So you have to be sober to communicate. So issue number one. It's very rarely sober, so that's not going to work for Tiger. That's probably going to be the first thing he puts in his contract is I don't have to be sober.
And the next part that, again, would be kind of a knock to Tiger, we talked about it recently, is, the recent breakup, right? Being able to have difficult conversations.
This is a good one.
So rather than telling our girlfriend that we're going on vacation and having her pack her bags, we maybe should have just been honest and said it wasn't working out.
It's not working out. Could you please pack your bags and go?
Instead of she's at the airport and locked out of the house. Right. Which is true. So again, ability to have difficult conversations would be definitely leadership quality, right? And something that, again, that top performer may not have a lot of experience with difficult conversations because they've always been here. They haven't had to explain themselves or prove themselves. Right.
Right, because they were probably better than the person that was above them.
Right.
So the person just let them go.
Right. So I think that is a huge quality for your next leader.
Absolutely. So we're going to go Tiger no on that one.
Okay.
That's a nat.
Second one, empathy. You almost tied that right back.
Right back to sending a poor girl to the airport. Come on, where's everything with that? Come on.
And again, that's where your argument of this isn't just a knock on Tiger, but that top person probably doesn't have to have a lot of empathy. I mean, you've been trained, if you're the top chef, you don't need it, right? Your food speaks for itself. Exactly. Your performance speaks for yourself. Yeah. So if someone's crying in the corner because they don't understand it, you're like, I don't need to worry about that. I'm doing well over here. Right. And as a leader, you have to have empathy. I mean, especially now, and I think trying a little bit on, the next generation. I mean,
yeah, definitely more than empathy. Let's be honest, But if you take Tiger aside from sending his girlfriend to the airport without him and then changing the locks, he's never had empathy for anything since he was, 2 years old. He's been like this amazing golfer, above everybody. When did he ever feel bad for anyone, other than himself?
exactly.
You know, so yeah, no, that's in that.
Moving along to decision making.
This is too easy. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's all the cheating he did on his wife. It's driving under the influence in the
Multiple
ditches
times.
more than once. I mean, this is too easy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So decision making is a big part of somebody in your kitchen, right? Just because you're a great line cook,
Yeah.
you bang out the orders perfectly. You know, when it comes time to make a decision, is where you have to have someone that really learns the business, really knows how to make the right decision. How do I subtract these, you know, the negative and go with the positive? So I just don't think that, you know, that's just somebody that's good at their job.
Well, and I think that middle player who's had to hustle, had to work a little harder because they didn't have all the natural talent, I think has that they were able to prioritize, they will just get it done, figure out a way, find a solution when no one thought they would. Where I agree that top player in whatever you're looking at probably didn't have all of that adversity
Didn't
because
make
they
the
were
mistakes
good.
either, right? They make the mistakes. The kid in the middle made those mistakes. Learn from them.
Yeah.
There's no better way to learn
Well,
than
it's
a
like
few
you said
mistakes.
earlier with the coaches, right? The great players are making coaches, but look at like Steve Kerr now coaching.
Outstanding.
Or there's a lot of players that become good coaches, but they weren't the star of their team.
Right.
They were maybe the guy off the bench or the role player.
We never look at a Hall of Famer as a coach,
right?
It's everyone that wasn't a Hall of Famer that's a coach, because the Hall of Famers can't do it because everything, first of all, comes too easy to them.
Yeah.
Like I said, that kid on the line cook is really good. It's just good at it because he's good at it. No one taught him.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah,
All right,
that's
so
it.
problem solving.
Yeah.
Come on, no.
It kind of relates a little bit to decision making, right?
Yeah.
But
Right, he goes right back to it. He's no problem solver.
Yeah.
He just creates problems. That's what he does. And a lot of times, your more talented workers will create problems because they think they're so good.
Yeah.
And they don't want to work on this day or that day. They want their schedule. They're not, you know, you roll out a new way to do things. They don't want to do it because we've been doing it this way. So those are the ones that really do become the problems.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing with problem solving is like you said, like you're so good at something, you are like laser focused on what has made you the best, and you don't even see that it's a possibility of doing anything else, and you just haven't had to really think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's enough for him. We're not going to hit one of these.
No.
it's not looking good for him. So
No, it's not.
How about delegation?
Yeah.
Has he ever had to speak to anyone?
No. I mean, you know, I think, again, whatever you're technically good at, right? Like you've kind of pigeonholed into doing it your way with your team, like someone on the line, right? Like you know how to get through a shift your way. I think this is something that's so important in leadership. It's, you know, I think an intangible that everybody forgets if you can't delegate as a leader, you are going to struggle in that position. And delegation has nothing to do with your experience. That's where, you know, I think the more we talk about this, it's a great example because whether you're looking at the resume of your next GM or DM or whatever it is, I mean, there are some of these qualities that you wouldn't find by figuring out where they work or where they did work in the past. So some of it has to be some of those questions that you ask as you're talking to them.
Or an interview, absolutely. Listen, you know, so if you're going to delegate tasks out, you have to have trust. We know Tiger don't have trust. If he trusted his girlfriend not to break things in the house, he would have told her that they were breaking up instead of locking her out. So, you know, he's never had to delegate anything to anyone ever. So that's a nap for him. But in the restaurant, again, it comes down to trust. You don't want somebody at that top level that just doesn't trust anybody to get it done. Because that means he's not going to train them.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's going to try to do everything himself, and you never get it done that way.
Well, and I think that's the other part of delegation, because I agree with you. There's like a fundamental issue, like people, not an issue, right? Because some people just struggle delegating, but usually that's a symptom of something else.
Yes.
And I think it's trust, and then also being okay with not being the star. Right? Because you could delegate to someone and they might get it done, and the boss comes in and says, "Oh, that was amazing." And that star person might really struggle with not being the star. Yeah.
That's another Tiger problem. So you got to be in the limelight. Yeah.
Well,
that's a great point.
Your district managers wasn't always maybe your best GM, right? You had maybe 5 GMs. longest part of district manager, he may not have been your best operating GM. Same reason on your management team. Your GM may not have been your best of your 5 managers because of the skill level, but in that new role,
it suits them.
It suits
Yeah.
them, right?
It suits them. Yeah.
And they're okay with if the team wins, but you didn't win. They look at that as a win. Not every leader does, and that we see is a huge problem.
Right. Yeah. So your best GM's probably not developing anyone. Doing everything himself, right?
Yeah.
So they're successful because of that.
Right. But the people under him are developing people around them.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I always like to do because it's nice to see all these people be able to grow and get better at their job. Where I don't see Tiger like trying to nurture anyone that way and delegate this out because you're going to get better at it.
No.
Nah.
Adaptability.
Let's see. He's been in a lot of trouble, right? He's cheated on his wife multiple times. Can't be honest with a girlfriend. He comes out to the tours and, he only plays until he stinks and he's not playing well. Then he's got a back issue, right? So he can't adapt to anything, right? He's not adaptable. I can never see him being on that tour with a group of guys that he's leading and things are going bad and kind of turn the tide and make them turn good. Boy, he can't adapt to what's going on.
Yeah. Which I think is one of those, again, adaptability you're not going to see on a resume. So you really have to think about, you're not just asking someone, oh, what was it like to work at your last position? Did you like it? But you're really trying to find out, can they adapt? Because I would say in hospitality, you have to be able to adapt. The world has changed so fast. The industry has changed. And if you're someone who's stuck in the way it was done 10 years ago, you're not going to be successful as a leader today. But it's a really hard quality to kind of work through and figure out who is adaptable. Like, what does it even mean to really be someone who can adapt? It's almost something you'd have to see them do. Or, what I love with you guys is, the idea of bringing someone in for an hour, maybe making it more informal so I can see the way that they handle oh my God, we're rushed. Is it someone who's just going to jump in, carry some plates, even though it was an interview because I know you're busy and I'm going to help you out? Or someone is just standing there I'm waiting for my interview still, right? That I think you'd have to see work out. And I love the idea at this stage of bringing someone in to watch them before you make this decision.
I always love doing that because you get a real sense for who the person is.
Yeah.
You're going to know. Like you said, if they jump in, and I could go in any restaurant, as Scott could too. And I don't care what restaurant it is. If they're in the weeds, I'll get them out. Because restaurant's the restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, the fundamentals don't change.
Yeah.
So that's what you go back to. You go back to the fundamentals as soon as things start breaking down. And I just don't think that's, that you can't just see that by talking to them. You can ask the question, hey, tell me a situation that you had to adapt to.
Right.
But they can tell you anything.
Yeah.
Come on, hang out for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got. If they never jump in and touch anything or ask questions or go to the line and look around, then you can see that they never adapt to anything. They go with the flow.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. I agree.
Nah.
Motivation.
Come on. I can't see. So
You might have to give them this one.
No. How are you going to give them this one? When do you ever have to motivate anyone?
Okay, motivate other people, but I'm saying his personal motivation to be good.
No, his father motivated him. He didn't motivate himself. His father motivated him, and everything his father taught him, and all the work his father put into him, he basically, other than become a really great golf. Yes, he's rich, but he wasted everything his father taught him.
Not fair.
He wasted everything. He's not a motivator. These guys will not play for him. They know the kind of person he is. He's already out there as really a scumbag. People will not play for him.
No, some of them like him, but I would agree. I think, again, I think looking at motivation for that top person who's always been the top person, who's always been, overachieving. Right. It's hard to say that they have all, and some of them do, but I think, do they have the ability to motivate themselves, look forward, as much as sort of that hustler person who kind of had to find a way, got it done, sees the bigger vision. Because the other thing here, I think, if we're using the Ryder Cup example, it's really about that vision. And that vision not just being Tiger Woods showing up at the event and, oh, I'm Tiger Woods, I'm the coach, so it's all about the coach, right? No, it's about, we're here to win, and it doesn't matter who's out front. We're here as a team, we're going to get it done. And I agree with you, I think that's another intangible that if you're looking in the real world, I mean, it's hard to know who really is going to see the vision of
Right.
where you're trying to go versus just looks at this as a job for today.
So, and we go back to, again, when you're that good naturally,
Yeah.
no one took the time to stop and teach you.
Yeah.
Right? So how can you stop and do that and motivate someone else? But you never had to really be, motivate anyone. Like, yes, whoever was above you, in Tiger's case, was his father, who really motivated him to get to where he was. But after a while, he was just so good that he just went out there blind, didn't even care. And if he would have kept, motivating himself, being dedicated, as he got older, he still could have been Tiger Woods instead of the guy he became.
Oh, and a fair question would be, what his motivation for the Ryder Cup? Right,
But
he may not be that motivated for this next ride, right? That would be,
It's not playing, you know.
Well, and I think the other part of motivation, as you look at like the comparison between the Ryder Cup and say, business world would be, I mean, I think we see the same situation with a lot of the next generation, right?
Oh,
you were told from a very early age that you're really good, you're amazing,
Even when you're not.
the GOAT, right? And so now your busser thinks he's the GOAT.
Right.
Like, what do we do?
Right.
I mean,
everybody gets a trophy, everybody's a
hard.
champion. Right. It's hard. It's almost impossible now to get this across. Good luck, Tiger.
But I think as an employer, right, whether it's Tiger or whoever it is, I think this also would be the lesson to, the PGA America, the people who run the Ryder Cup, to say, okay, as an organization, like whoever you are, we're going to find a way to make sure that we motivate you our own way, which I think, again, going back to this, Larry's like, that's what Europe does really well. I mean, the US was making fun of Europe for having all this motivation, for having pictures on the wall of Seve Ballesteros. I mean, Seve died like a decade ago, right? So these young US players are like, really, dude, like the Seve thing still. But because it's not about them, it's about the common mission. It's a way to motivate your team in this bubble outside of the real world because, their players are 23 and are this next generation too, right? So that everyone's struggling with that, but finding a way to motivate. And I think as an employer, this is something you really have to think is like, how do I get my vision across and how do I retrain my employees to get away from this whole, thinking?
And I think it's the person, right? You, me, in the restaurants. We want other people to succeed.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be in the spotlight. I want to, if you were the catering manager, the restaurant manager, I want you to succeed. I'm going to give you all my knowledge, everything I learned. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to help you develop. These really great, talents, they don't care to do that. And maybe some of them do. There are some that care, do have compassion for other people and want to see them succeed. But most of them don't. And Tiger never had to worry about anyone else.
Yeah.
Right? So you take that guy off the kitchen line that was so good, never had to worry about anybody, actually liked stepping on people.
Right.
And Tiger likes stepping on people. Will never become a good leader.
Yeah.
They cannot lead your kitchen. He can't lead your golf team.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, at wherever we are in our business, as we're listening to this, I mean, I think this is a really good time to kind of look around at your leadership team and see what qualities they have. What qualities do they have today? Qualities could you develop? Because some of these you could develop,
Absolutely.
right? If
You can. I think so. Especially, when you get them as young workers, but you have to make this known to them. This is what you're looking for. This is how you start teaching them at an early point in their career that this is how you develop people. This is how you lead people. This is, take these steps, do this, be compassionate, jump in and help them when they need help. Don't yell at them.
Yeah.
This will make them better and they'll become that leader you want them to be. But not everybody that is really talented will take to that.
Well, I agree. And I think the biggest question that we hope that you leave this episode with asking yourself is, if you take the seat of PGA of America, that's an easy choice, right? Like, I'm going to pick Tiger.
Right.
He's going to get it done. I'm not going to worry about it. Right. But what we've seen here is he's probably not going to do a great job, right? Like him or not, and I'm a golf fan, right? He's probably going to do a terrible job because of all these qualities.
Right.
So the hard question would be, if you're the owner, do you have a Tiger already on your team who maybe isn't motivating your team, isn't leading your team, isn't drawing on the group to have this shared vision? And is there a way to kind of right the ship? Because some of what we see as labor struggles or, like retention, some of it could be that you have a Tiger.
Well, unfortunately, there are Tigers in a lot of kitchens, dragging them down.
Yeah.
Because, one, a lot of owners are scared of the kitchen. Right? If they don't have a food background, or maybe they worked as a general manager somewhere, but they never had to run the kitchen, so they let this guy do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And the guy's Tiger Woods. He's no good for anybody.
Yeah.
Not even good for himself. But he's running your kitchen. You're okay with it,
Because he probably is great to you.
Right.
That's the thing. Right. If you're the owner, you probably aren't going to have a problem.
Because you're not worrying about the kitchen.
Right.
But if you had somebody in there that really led the team and really cared about your kitchen, your margins would be better.
Yeah.
You would have a better atmosphere everywhere. And probably everyone would be less stressed.
Yeah.
And you would get a lot further. You probably could have 3 or 4 locations instead of 1. Just get rid of Tagger.
Right. So this is a really good time of the year to kind of evaluate this. And if we see that there's stuff not working, similar to the Radica, if we see that there's stuff not working, now is the time to just ask the question of, how could I do this better? How could this actually work out to where we're not as stressed, our team's working better together, and not being afraid to look at some of these leaders on our team to make sure that they fit their roles.
Right. Well, I think Scott will agree. I'll take 5 very average workers over 1 complete superstar.
Yeah.
Because that complete superstar is not going to work with the team. And you're not going to get as production out of him as I can as these 5 average workers that I could develop into, a star. Maybe not a superstar, but I could develop them into a star and have them have a lot of confidence and want to do a good job.
Exactly.
And then want to teach other people what they learned.
Exactly.
So, that's what I'd rather see.
Well, I think it ties back into what we talk a lot about is that development gap.
Yeah.
Right? Most people, even your best whoever, don't have all the skills of leadership.
No.
Right? I didn't have all the skills of leadership. I don't know if you had to get developed on some of those other ones that you didn't have. But that's what we're seeing is missing, is who is developing. If that person could be a great leader, but they have 4 of the 6 skill sets, how do they get the other 2? Is it the owner? Is it GM? And I think that's the biggest thing that we see a huge gap in right now is that there could be some great leaders out there, but they're not getting that development they need.
And there's not enough of them out there anymore. I mean, I know for me, I was fortunate to work on the people I worked on there. I say it all the time. I still keep in touch with them. They were great mentors. And, listen, I was a little cocky, because I was pretty good at what I did. But
there's a little bit of a tagger.
Thought I was way better than I was at times. And I smack back down in the place, real quick. And, okay, got start building myself up again. And you learn as you go. Like, all right, that's probably not the best way to do it. Like, I need to be a team player, got to get everybody on board, start helping people, start showing people. And that's where I really started to develop and I started to understand. But I was fortunate. I had great mentors.
Well, and I think that's, like you said, too, is, okay, it's not saying we have to fire Tiger, right? But we do have to rein him in and develop him to a more well-rounded leader.
And you can, because I was a little Tiger. I was.
I don't know. Maybe we may have found the hidden reason.
I was a little Tiger in me when I was younger, but because I had great mentors, I didn't grow into the whole Tiger, They wasn't going to have it. They showed me another way. And I benefited from it, for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully you found this worthwhile exercise, but the challenge really is, take some of these qualities we've talked about today and really explore how they fit with your management team and what could make them even better in 2024.
The foundation of our team is a shared objective. As specialists in the hospitality industry, we understand the importance of timely and accurate reporting for our clients, which has been made even more crucial throughout the post-pandemic industry recovery.
We truly believe our mission is to give back to business owners control of their finances so that they can make better decisions daily.
The way that we are consistently showing value to our clients is by speaking with them on a weekly basis. Not only do they have the relationship with their lead accountant, but they have the opportunity to meet with industry experts.
The truth is that things will never be like they were before 2020. But we believe that our weekly accountability model will help you adapt to the new reality and grow and evolve into an even better business in the years to come.